All right, everybody, welcome. This is the first episode of the Feel the Madness podcast. We will be talking about WWE, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Ring of Honor, TNA, anything and everything in between. We're going to be talking about premium live events, regular shows, news, rumors, injuries, new merch, any and everything in between. I am Titan Shredder, as you all know, and my co-host here is going to be Neptune's Kraken. We are going to be covering all of this wrestling information, the history of this podcast. Go ahead, Kraken. Why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm really looking forward to deep diving both of our knowledge on every PLE show, pay-per-view from AEW, Ring of Honor, New Japan, and WWE. Of course, with merchandise, there's a ton of that drops with every PLE we do have. So I'm looking forward to the deep dive aspect that we're bringing to y'all with this Feel the Madness podcast.
So tonight we are going to be covering WWE SummerSlam 2024. It just occurred last night. Big returns, big interferences, a lot of title changes for a WWE Premium Live event. You guys will have to excuse me. I'm in the habit of calling them pay-per-views because that's what we used to call them. So I'll probably say that a lot during the history of this podcast. But with that being said, off the rip, I just want to say that SummerSlam last night I thought was really good. The first match that I want to talk about is Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan for the one of the women's titles. And just my opinion about it, the match was kind of like, it was so-so. It didn't live up to my expectation as far as everything they did during the match. Of course, they did the shoulder injury spot that everybody knew that was going to happen. They were talking about that on the pre-show. What condition was Rhea's shoulder, so on and so forth. Her shoulder did at some point apparently come out of socket, and she had to attempt to get it back in. She had some issues with that, and then again it flared up. It's popping back out of socket. She finally kind of got it worked back in. Thought everything was kind of going good. It was a very Rhea dominant match in my opinion. She kind of just led Liv around the ring and hit her with a couple high impact moves. She hit her with a riptide in the turnbuckle. I didn't like that. It didn't look very smooth. It actually didn't look like it had a lot of impact to it. So I thought that was kind of an unnecessary spot, in my opinion. The big part of the match that was kind of, I guess, everybody's talking about right now, Rhea at one point had kind of got headed back in the right direction, got Liv down on the mat, and then decided she was going to pick up a steel chair and hit Liv with it. Camera pans in real close on her, so you immediately knew something was going to happen. Dom hopped up on the apron and grabbed the chair, took the chair away from Rhea, and he's, I know you can't win this way, blah, 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 whatever. Liv gets up, capitalizes off the moment, clotheslines, drop kicks, does something, traditional spot, and she pushes Rhea into Dom, knocks him off the apron. The next thing you know, we see Dom at the other side of the ring. He slides a chair in the ring and he starts motioning to Liv for the chair. And Rhea had got up and had bounced her against those ropes and was leaned up there. Here come Liv. Boom, hits her with the Oblivion, drops her directly on the chair, out cold. Liv slides the chair out of the ring, hooks a leg, 1, 2, 3. It's over. Liv looked completely bewildered by this, like she didn't know what was going to happen. And then her and Dominic Mysterio celebrate after. He's putting the old dirty Dom mustache on her. All in all, out of 5 stars, I definitely give the match. I give it probably a 3.9 just for the storyline itself. The match was okay outside of that. It wasn't a bad match, but nothing really just captivated me besides the actual story going forward. What did you think about that match, Kraken?
Honestly, on that match, I mean, I have to agree with you. You know, we knew the shoulder was going to come back into play. We haven't seen her in the ring doing anything physical since her injury, so I figured that would be a main focus point for Liv. And of course, throwing her into the turnbuckle and what looked like a disgusting out of place shoulder for a majority of the match. The tackling the announce desk basically to pop it back into place. I think that was absolutely probably the best way rather than having Dom attempt to pull her arm back into place, just because that shows the ruthless power that Rhea has and can use inside the ring, outside the ring. Also, with that, we've seen the introduction of the head cam for the refs. I know that was something I do believe they used a long time ago, probably before I truly started watching wrestling. Titan, you said what? That was back in what, WCW when they done that?
They did attempt it once in WCW. It was kind of short lived. I think they did it in TNA once, possibly. I never paid a tremendous amount of attention to TNA, but I think they tried it in TNA at one point too. It'll probably be short lived, but I mean, it's with all the crazy stuff that's been happening here lately, it's kind of like a temporary end to a means.
Yeah, we got to see it on the review, like the replay where we could see Dom pulling the chair at a different angle. When they went to the submission, you could see it there right before Rhea power bombed out of what was trying to be the armbar. So I mean, it has a good idea behind it if can be used properly. Of course, the quality of it, they'll probably try to tweak that, make it more of that 4K feel, like they do now with when they're doing the introductions of Challenger and Champion. But we'll see where it goes. The chair spot, I called it. Unfortunately, I had the feeling that Dom was going to turn on Rhea and cost Rhea the title. And hate where they went with it because I wanted this to be over after SummerSlam. And I don't feel as if this one's done. I feel as if SummerSlam we should be focusing on building towards War Games in a sense because that's the next big pillar PLE that we have coming up. But yet again, there's also Bad Blood, and I guess that's where we could see this in that. Other than that, I truly give the match. It was a dominant side and showing from Rhea, even with using just one arm. If it wasn't for Dirty Dom, Liv wouldn't be champion. And I'd give it like a 3.5, 4 overall.
Okay. And I'm going to double back later and talk about this whole Dom situation again, or the Liv situation a little bit later in the card as we go over it. This next match we're going to go over extremely quick because that's what the match was. Extremely quick. I'm not going to say a lot of things about it. I felt like it was kind of done unjustly. But we had Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker. I've said the same thing about Sami Zayn forever. I'll continue to say the same thing. Sami Zayn is the world's biggest underdog whenever he is chasing a goal and or title, and it's easy to be sympathetic, feel sorry for him, and want him to win. And the minute he wins, he loses all the wind out of his sails. Now, before I just absolutely dump a whole bucket of cold water on him, let me be the first one to say this as well. Of everybody who has had a title defense since they have won titles at WrestleMania or going forward, Sami Zayn has been the most fighting champion, it seems like, and who has also had the best quality matches and competitors. With that being said, they put him in the ring again with Braun Breaker, and it was a completely different match. I'm not going to get into a lot of I've heard a lot of the rumors and stuff like that of why this match went the way that it went. I'm just going to go ahead and address that right off the rip. We're not going to talk about any of that crazy stuff here. This is just simply a sports entertainment pro wrestling podcast. And I think it was a short match, and I think they maybe shot themselves in the foot a little bit, thinking that some of the other segments were going to go a little long, and they didn't, and they shortened that match up. It was a good match. Braun Breaker showed that he was completely capable of just tearing right through Sami Zayn. The issue I had with it is that Sami Zayn looked extremely weak when this match was all said and done, and it did not take very long. Don't know the official time of the match, but it felt like it was 5 minutes or less. I don't think it actually was. I could be wrong. Somebody can fact check us in the comments if you would like. Good match overall. Went way too quick. I felt like they could have built a lot more suspense, drug it out a little bit more. I hate to do it, but on my scale of a 1 to 5, that's getting about a 3 because they rushed the match and it made the champion Sami Zayn look extremely weak when he beat Gunther, who had had the belt for 666 days. And you're not going to get me to believe that Braun Breaker could just run through Gunther like that. So that's my opinion on it. Kraken hit him with something 45 seconds or less.
I have to agree. We seen the mock speed that Michael Cole and Pat McAfee hype up We've seen it twice. We've seen a basic spear from Braun Breaker that split Sammy in half, and then they talked about it. He can hit 23 miles per hour, and of course he bounced off those two ropes as quick as possible and speared him. I mean, that's all it took. I hate that they did Sammy that way. Like you said, he's a great underdog, but every time he gets a title, they don't build it right. They don't give him the chance to look like a true defending champion, in my opinion. I give it like a 3, if that.
All right. What's the next match we had on the card?
Next match was Logan Paul and LA Knight.
All right. So here we go. I'm going to do this one quick too because, man, I tell you, I don't know. Something about this match didn't sit right with me. Both competitors, good job. All right, so Logan Paul comes to the ring. Somebody's standing there, head down, hoodie up over his head or whatever. You automatically they're leading you to think it might be LA Knight. I knew it was going to be LA Knight because for one, he was too tall, and number two, he looked like he could use a sandwich or four. Turns out it was Machine Gun Kelly. I immediately lost interest. I have my own reasons for not liking Machine Gun Kelly. Not going to talk about him here, but I could do without him ever. Machine Gun Kelly comes to the ring with Logan Paul, and the rest of he goes and hangs out with his little entourage and all that nonsense he's got going on. LA Knight cuts a vignette in the back. They cut up to the screen or whatever. He's coming in like the megastar he is, and he hits him. Yeah, he's doing the whole gimmick or whatever. He comes to the ring. He pulls up in that stolen car or whatever that he stole from Logan Paul on Friday Night SmackDown. They hit the ring, and well, let me say this: he hit the arena. And then they hit the floor. And Logan Paul met him outside the ring, so the match never actually officially started, if I recall correctly. They battled outside the ring for a few minutes. I immediately lost interest in this. I don't like that. That's not the thing. That's not the kind of wrestling that I'm into. But for the people who are into that kind of thing, that's what they're into. They battled around the ring, took each other to school real quick. They got in the ring, and then the actual match started. They had a good pace. They were going. Good moves, had some scary looking moves. One of the best moves in the match that I recall, besides the BFT that ended it, was that top rope brainbuster from LA Knight to Logan Paul. I saw that and I was just like, shit, man, what a brainbuster off the top rope. Just excellently executed. You can say a lot of things about Logan Paul, but he has picked up the tutelage and the game very quick. He has learned wrestling better than anybody else who showed up from Hollywood or the internet or decided they want to star besides The Miz. No disrespect to The Miz, absolute legend, been doing it for a while, and I appreciate all the entertainment that The Miz has gave us. Long story short, Logan Paul, of course, tried to cheat again, tried to hit him with the brass knucks off of the chain or whatever. That got foiled. BFT 1-2-3, new United States champion. I just hope that we got a fighting champion this time. Somebody that's going to defend it more than twice in almost 300 days. Not a bad match overall. I'm going to give it a 4. Let's go 4.3. 4.3 on a scale of 5. Go ahead, Kraken. Let them know what you think.
So first, LA Knight comes into the arena with the stolen Prime Energy truck that he was taking on Friday. And not only does he give it back to Logan, but he tells him how just god awful the tinting on that window is. So he decides to bust it. And of course, that's what fueled the fire for that brawl on the outside of the ring. We've seen the Prime bottle get involved again. We also did see, of course, LA Knight pop Logan in the face with one of the Prime bottles, which did leave what looked like a big bruise on his face. I did see that they had talked about that there was some medical stuff that they had to look into for that. So I don't know how hard he actually hit him with that bottle. I didn't think it was as bad as what it looked. But yet again, it is a plastic bottle going to someone's eye area. Other than that, the outside aspect of it was good. I do believe they attempted to break the table with a suplex, if I remember correctly, that did not work. That looked like a rough spot for both competitors. Inside the ring, great. They had great chemistry in the ring, great pace, like you said. You pointed out that brain buster of a suplex off the top rope, which is a great spot. Very risky for both of them, but it was executed very well. I want to give props, of course, to Logan for whatever he wants to call that moonsault he did, where he jumped on the rope and spun, and then did the moonsault. That was very interesting to see. I hadn't seen anyone do that type of ability. Like you said, Logan, his in-ring ability has gotten a lot better. I do believe even on the mic, he's gotten better since he came. I think he's more focused on that. But yet again, like you said, he wasn't a defending champion. He had too many obligations outside. I'm hoping that now, after the title loss, we're going to see him more be a vocal point inside the ring if that's what he wants to do. If not, it is what it is. I think LA Knight finally getting a title. As you know, I am a LA Knight fan. So it's a good thing he finally got one. We've talked about it before. The smaller championship's a great full way for him to start. Overall, I give it like a 4.5.
Respectable, respectable. What's the next match on the card?
We got Bailey and Queen Nia.
All right, Bailey and Queen Nia. I'm going to give a really short synopsis on this match because I'm going to tell you at this point tonight I was starting to struggle a little bit. Let's just be honest. Anybody that has not heard yet, between all the vignettes and everything, there was about 2 hours and 5 minutes of downtime between the matches, which is going back, seeing VODs, commercials, all that good jazz or whatever, promoting their products and stuff like that. I'm completely fine with that, but I was starting to struggle a little bit. So I was kind of in and out on this Bailey Nia Jax match. I think the match was done really well. It put Nia Jax over. She has improved massively from where she was at when she first came in. She's got better on the mic. She's not The Rock by any means, but she has got better. She's got better in the ring. She still does make accidents. She still does make accidents backstage and segments and stuff like that. She slipped, she's failed a couple times or whatever. It is what it is. Accidents are going to happen. For a woman, she is rather tall, and that is that. She has trimmed down. She's lost some weight. She's, gotten probably the best shape of her career or that I've ever seen her. Big props for that. Bailey, as always, did Bailey's thing, and that was make somebody look absolutely fantastic in the ring, and that's what she did. The match was good. It got to a point to where it was good back and forth. Speed it up a little bit. A lot of high impact moves. She hit her with the what's that move called? Not the Eradicator. What's Annihilator? That's it. She hit her with the Annihilator. She kicked out. I was fine. I was cool with that. Next thing you know, they're both down in the middle of the ring. Fast forward a little bit. Here plays Tiffany Stratton's music or whatever. There'd been an agreement between Tiffany and Nia that she was not going to cash in. She ran to the ring, jumped up on the apron, had the briefcase, and Bailey caught her on the apron. Boom, knocks her down to the floor. Nia at this point starts to get back up. She uses that to capitalize. I think Bailey got 1 or 2 hits on her before Nia completely stopped her momentum again. And the next thing you know, it was Annihilator, 1, 2, 3, new champion. For a women's match, at the point where I was starting to get a little tired, it was good. It wasn't great, but it was good. You're very rarely will you hear me ever give a 5-star to a match. This is going to be one of those scenarios where somebody doesn't get a 5-star. I will give it a 4, a solid 4 for a women's match. It was entertaining. That's about all I can say about it. Your turn, Kraken.
For this one, honestly, the match was great in my opinion. It went the way I think a lot of us thought it was gonna go. Nia showed her dominance. Bailey did have her moment. The surprising moments for me was the power bomb that she delivered to Nia.
That
Um,
power was
it was
absolutely disgusting.
it was a
That was good. I forgot
great,
about that. I'm glad you
great
mentioned that.
both
Great.
of their parts because it takes two to get that to work correctly. That was a big highlight of the match, except for the Tiffany Stratton aspect. I was really hoping that Tiffany might attempt to cash in, but overall, the match played out exactly how it should. Nia showed her dominance. She's in the best athletic form that I've seen her in. And, Bailey showed that she's still a fighter. She's not going to give up. But when the numbers game is there and the distractions work, we see what happens. That's what Tiffany was there for. She was there for the distraction. And not just one, but two annihilators later, we have a new women's champion SmackDown. I give it a 4 overall for the storytelling, for the way they set it up, and the absolute dominance that we.
I agree. I agree. All right, next, moving on. This is so at this point I was that was the fourth match on the card. At this point I was 4-0. So I thought we were going clean sweep here of the night. Thought I was pulling the old 7-0. And then came this match. CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre with special guest referee Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins showed up in his best Becky Lynch outfit, as always, was to be expected. They tried to get us to believe those pants cost $10,000. I probably wouldn't have paid $4 for them. $4, that is. Anyway, so Drew McIntyre came to the ring. Had kind of a little Undertaker look to him from '97, with the little cloak thing that he had on, or vest or whatever, and the sleeves he had on, his stuff like that. I was getting Undertaker vibes. Seth Rollins had a little bit of Shawn Michaels vibes. I don't know if this was orchestrated or if it had to be orchestrated, because there's no way this is a coincidence. CM Punk hits the ring. He comes out there. He's got the zip-up hoodie on or whatever. You can see that he has on pink attire. Didn't think anything about it at the moment. He unzips the coat, throws it at Seth Rollins pretty much. He drapes it across his head and stuff like that. So right off the rip, they're in each other's face, and the poking has begun. And CM Punk has on Bret Hart-themed attire. So this, at this point, I feel like was orchestrated. So these three maybe don't care for each other in real life or whatever. But there was some, I don't care what anybody says, there was some orchestration right here, or otherwise that's the largest coincidence that's ever happened in professional wrestling history, and I don't believe coincidences. Moving right into the match. Drew McIntyre came right out the gate, dominant, started laying into Punk. We were getting worried at this point, because Punk is starting to take a whooping, and I'm thinking, man, the rust is real. Next thing you know, here comes Punk. He's always had a gas tank on him, and he had a gas tank last night. He chops, backhand, spinning back fist, forearms. He's laying into it. Next thing you know, Drew McIntyre's out on the floor. Punk at one point, I don't know what happened, but the camera focused on him. He was bent over on the second rope, and I don't know if he got stuck, he got hurt. I'm not sure what that was, but he was paused there for what seemed like an eternity during a premium live event.
I think he slipped.
Okay, so maybe he was taking a second to get his bearings under him, and taking a second to get his bearings under him, and take a deep breath and reset, right? Because you don't want to mess up and then get hyped up, and you're getting ready to come off the apron and mess up for real. So maybe that's what it was. I didn't see what happened, but I knew he was bent over for a few seconds more than normal. I didn't know if maybe he caught his groin over the rope or something like that, because that'll slow you down. That makes all the sense. So if he did slip a little bit, then maybe he was just trying to get his bearings under him. And it seemed like after that moment, he was kind of spot on. So maybe he took a deep breath, he reset. The match overall was good. It was back and forth. Seth Rollins he was in I don't give a flying French fried, what, and he was letting them go back and forth. Punk gets wheeled back into the ring. He gets slingshotted at one point. He's up underneath the ring, gets slingshotted in metal bars that are holding the ring up. And at this point, Seth Rollins is letting whatever fly that's going to fly. Because McIntyre got his head bashed off the stairs. It was going to be a physical one. Rollins was going to let him just beat the dog water out of each other. We're going to speed up a little bit here for the sake of time. Drew McIntyre outside the ring, grabs a chair, brings it back in, and Drew McIntyre gets in Rollins' face, and says, let me hit him with this chair, take care of both of our problems. You know it as good as I do, blah, 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 whatever. Rollins turns around, walks away. And you think, this is it. He's going to whack him. It's over with, right? He rears back to hit him, and then shades of 97, throwback again to the last time one of these style matches happened. Here comes Rollins. He grabs a chair out of his hand. And then next thing you know, he almost hits Punk with the chair. That becomes an issue. Rollins got knocked down and around a few times this match. So the bracelet finally comes into the equation here. Punk goes for a few GTSs. He can't get him locked in or can't get it, can't hit it. Something keeps happening, right? He's doing the running knees or whatever in the turnbuckle. He hit like 3 of those in a row. It looked good. He went to take his bracelet back, skipping around a little bit here for sake of time. He went to take his bracelet back and got too focused on the bracelet. That was a big thing for this match. Punk got zeroed in on that. Once again, it may not be important to us or whatever, but Punk, that was his thing. You took my bracelet, and I don't care about nothing else except for making sure you never win the title again and getting this bracelet back. So he gets it back at one point. Next thing you know, boom, McIntyre hits him with the Claymore. Knocks him down. Here goes the bracelet flying in the middle of the ring. Rollins picks it up, and I genuinely think that Rollins was picking it up just so it wouldn't get broken. And I know that sounds weird because he doesn't care about CM Punk or whatever, right? But he seemed like he was genuinely just trying to do a nice thing, and he puts it on his wrist. Punk's got McIntyre up. He's getting ready to hit a GTS. This match is over at this point. Punk has already came back. He's back in control. This is his match to win at this point. He sees Rollins has the bracelet on his wrist. That's it. He loses his mind. He drops McIntyre out of the GTS. And, what are you doing? Are you f***ing with me? Are you f***ing with me? And he makes it a whole thing. He gets distracted. He gets hit. Next thing you know, boom, Claymore. Again, at this point, Rollins has been knocked down again. Because he got knocked around several times this match. At one point, he got so frustrated, he took the camera off and threw it outside on the arena. So he's getting amped up. You're expecting him to do something. It falls flat for me at this point. My expectation of this match was it was going to be a double DQ. They all three were going to break out into a brawl because they all three supposedly can't stand each other. And that was going to be the end of this match. That's not the case. McIntyre hits a low blow, gets in the turnbuckle, Claymore kick. Here comes Rollins, who's crawling back into the ring at this point, who can barely even get back in the ring. And he 1, 2, and then he looks at McIntyre, and McIntyre's chewing him out the whole time or whatever. He counts to 3, counts Punk out. Quickly going to go over my issue with this, and then we'll pass it off to Kraken. So here's my issue with this, right? Seth Rollins, who at one point the WWE told us his back was in such bad condition that any one match could just end his career or take him out indefinitely or whatever, right? He got bumped and pushed and hit and knocked and flipped out of the ring and everything else known to mankind that could happen. And he wasn't taking massive bumps. And he just came back from surgery on his knee as well. And they've literally tried to convince us that Seth Rollins is tough as a $2 steak. He took a bump out of the ring that was simply him just getting pushed into by another person and then sold it like somebody had hit him with a sledgehammer or a concerto. You lost me right there. So Seth Rollins is officially weak. That's where we're at right now. And then after the match was over, he just took the shirt off and throws it up in the air and storms off to the back. This isn't done. It's obviously not done. We saw the post-show scrum, whatever you want to call it. I hate to call it that because I know that's what all Elite Wrestling uses. Post-match press conference, whatever. And Drew McIntyre's telling me he's the best in the world and he's this. And no, you were beat. You were done. You were beat. You won on a technicality. You cheated to win, which you're the heel, so that's what you're supposed to do. But this isn't done. But I want to see the triple threat, but I don't know that it's going to be as good as I thought it was going to be. And that's because the ending of this match played out terrible, in my opinion. I would have never booked that. It would have been a double DQ, and they would have, or either that, they all three break out into a scuffle, and then here hit the music. It's time to play the game. Here comes Triple H. Well, we're not going to have this. All of you are disqualified, and we're going to settle this tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw, or Sunday night on Monday Night Raw. Excuse me, I forgot they're on Saturday now. I apologize. There was a lot better ways to do it than what we got. It was a good match. Punk looked good. Hadn't been in the ring in a long time for a singles match. I think it was 10 years. Looked really good. Drew McIntyre always puts on a good show. Seth Rollins did Seth Rollins stuff. Everybody knows how I feel about him. I'm not the biggest fan, but I mean, he can put on a good show. I'll give him credit where credit is due. I'm going to give this a 4.4 because it could have been done a lot better, and Rollins could have been not made to look weak. Go ahead, Kraken.
Yeah, I mean, you summed it up very good, honestly. Like the entrances, I've even seen side by side photos today on social media everywhere that Drew's outfit was reminiscent of the Undertaker's. Punk wore his best Bret Hart shoes that he could find, and Seth Rollins did the best he could to look like Shawn Michaels. That Seth let them do what they wanted. I think Drew McIntyre's head bounced off the steel steps about 6 times. I do believe we seen Drew McIntyre give CM Punk, and I can't remember what the move's called, but it's where they basically try to pole vault him into whatever it is on the opposite side. He done it to the metal bars underneath the ring, and then he stopped it when the chair came into play. Okay, cool, that makes sense. Then we give Drew almost a GTS until the bracelet show. I think the bracelet being a vocal point is absolutely dumb. It was like kryptonite to Superman. He lost all momentum. I truly, and he still at the end of the match still don't have this godforsaken bracelet. So I mean, I'm hoping he burns down Raw to find this bracelet. I don't.
That's my point. You can't do anything to close this. When you beat him, you took the bracelet back off his wrist and stood over him and kissed it and held it there. You can't say it's closed when you've left the case open in the ring.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Bracelet. Awesome. I mean, I understand it's got his wife, his dog on it. That means something to him. I'm okay with that. But why are we focusing on a bracelet on a match that's been built up since Royal Rumble of last year? I mean, my God, we focused on a bracelet rather than, Seth bumped me. He's trying to screw me out of the match. Or, he let him do this and not me do this. I could understand that, but a godforsaken bracelet. Either way, we've seen a GTS Seth, so we already know this is going to be carried on. Bash at Berlin, put him in a damn steel cage. I don't know. They got to get this done. In my opinion, this is the worst fucking match of the night.
I don't think we should do it at Bash at Berlin because between the three of them, they're with a hot mic, they're dangerous. Let them build it until bad blood. Put them in a Hell in a Cell, and I know Punk said, I'm not doing any Hell in a Cell matches, I'm not doing any ladder matches, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. Well, you also said you'd never wrestle for the WWE again. So here we are. Hell froze over. It'll happen, I'm sure. He'll, at some point, he just got to be cautious, right? Like, Punk is a little injury prone. He's also a little older than both of these guys.
You know what we need to do? Put the bracelet over top like it's a damn title, and whoever wins, the feud's over.
Yeah, I don't. Somebody's got to step in at some point, and this bracelet issue's got to be taken care of, so we can finish this feud. But we're laughing about it or whatever. It's an important thing to him, and it's a focal point.
Yeah, it is.
But
I can understand it, but like,
what was your overall rating of the match?
a 3.
A 3. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna pick up the pace a little bit here on the on this we'll deep dive a little bit because honestly, I was going to be honest with you guys. This was supposed to be like a 15-minute guest, and of course, that's not the issue now. Now we're pushing a lot long. Here we go. Next match: Damian Priest versus Gunther. Not a lot you can say about this that most people's been keeping up with it don't already know. This was kind of like, this is where it kind of got wonky to me, and there was a big red flag that something was going on, and it wasn't the only time. Rhea was supposed to be a heel. She's in a heel faction. Liv is a heel. Gunther is a heel, calling him trash, his friends trash, everybody that's associated with him trash. They're all trash, 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 trash. And like, and then you got Damian Priest, who is El Campeon, supposed to be a heel in a heel faction, but always displays the character of a face and wants to prove that he's better than what he came from, which is a face behavior. So come out of the gate, 100 miles an hour, he rocks Gunther. That's good. You're making him look good. He's getting over. People are into it. He's rocking Gunther, and he rocked Gunther for a while. And Gunther got a few good chops in. I mean, he laid one chop in, and I was like, good Lord. I thought I saw Damian Priest's soul leave his body and come back in. And the match continues on. Gunther's the first one to don the crimson mask. He gets his chest busted open. He was still showing some signs of wear from Raw, where they had fought off to the end of the show, and it was just breaking down around him. A couple high spots here. Went for a couple outsider edges. Went for an outsider's edge. I don't think he got it the first time, or he may have got it and he kicked out. I think that's what it was. He got it and he kicked out, I believe. I was not a fan of that. I know he's not Razor Ramon. I know it's a different time, but Razor back in the day when he hit the outsider's edge, he didn't kick out. So it discredits the move a little bit. I didn't care for that. South side of heaven, he got a sorry-looking south side of heaven. It looked like a southeast side of heaven. He was way out there. He didn't even get to sit down the right way. It looked like a Temu chokeslam at some point. But not the end of the world. Big show, SummerSlam, 50,000 plus in the house. Nerves might get you a little bit. You're wrestling one of the best wrestlers in the business right now, Gunther. And that could have been a slip up on Gunther's side as well. Not sure what really happened. Just ended up looking a little wonky there. At some point, I don't know if I missed it or he just showed up, but the next thing you know, Finn Balor is at ringside. I didn't ever see him cut to him coming down the ramp or nothing. And I was pretty locked in on this match. Not going to say I didn't miss it. Got it. Okay. Well, that might be why I missed it then. I was pretty locked in, I felt like. But apparently I did miss that. So, stand corrected. Thank you for letting me know where he come from, because I really didn't know. Next thing you know, Gunther's, telling him, you're trash, no water, whatever. He's giving him the side of the ropes or whatever. I think he even pushed him, kicks him in the face or something like that, right? Shoves him away or whatever. Get out of here, you peasant. That's it, boy. Oh, it lit a fire under Damian. He let his emotions get the best of him. He hit Gunther with some big moves, and I thought, oh boy, here we go. They're going to put him over Gunther, which I felt like would have been a mistake, because no offense to Damian Priest, I think he's good, but he's not on that level yet, and he shouldn't be taking this guy down. And he honestly gave him a little bit more of a fight than what he should have, in my opinion. But it made Damian Priest look good, and Gunther can take a whooping, so that's okay. Long story short, Damian Priest hits his moves. He goes for the pin. You see Gunther roll over towards the ropes a little bit. Veteran ring awareness. I liked it. He could have easily threw his leg across the bottom rope, but here comes Finn Balor out of nowhere. Grabs his leg, tosses it up on the bottom rope. Unglued. The announcers are unglued. Speaking of announcers, when we're done talking about this match, I want to backpedal to something at the beginning of the show. Finn Balor stands there and just has that sinister look on his face, facing away from the ring. The announcers address the fact that Damian Priest didn't see him do it. This is my issue with the match. Not nitpicking. I think it was a great match. But I'm just saying, as far as making it look real or making it make sense to the people who were watching it, here was my issue with it. You just said he didn't see him hook his leg on the bottom rope. And then Damian Priest is staring at Finn Balor. Why? You just announced to the entire world, millions of people that are watching this, that he didn't see it. So why is he staring at him? It makes no sense. And then from that point on, it was over for Damian Priest. His main focal point was Finn Balor. He got out of the what's that move called, Kraken, that Gunther put him in? What's the choker? Does he have a name for it?
No, it's just a sleeper, and he does like wraps his legs around you and squeezes. He kind of it's a sleeper hold with like an anaconda squeeze with the legs.
Yeah, it was very reminiscent of a buzzsaw from X-Pac or Six back in the day, or a Tasmanian. Yeah, where he just kind of consumes your whole body and starts to squeeze the life out of you. He gets free of this, and the first thing he does, instead of worrying about defending his World Heavyweight Championship, is reach outside the ring and try to choke the life out of Finn Balor. I'm not discrediting Finn Balor, but I'm going to say this right now. If I'm going one-on-one in a ring with Gunther, and Finn Balor is outside of the ring, not doing nothing to me, and I've seen Gunther knock the soul out of some people with some chops, I'd be damned if I'm worried about Finn Balor. I'll mop the floor with you, you human toothpick, Q-tip. It look like you're starving, need a sandwich. I'll mop the floor with you when I'm done with Big Boy in here. Couldn't get focused back on the match. Had a bad look for Damian Priest at the end of that match, who carried himself so well during the match. I didn't like how they booked the ending of that match. It was a great match, but the ending was tough. And then we saw him get locked right back up, power bomb, and then boom, right back into it. And he choked him out and left him laying there as flat as a plate of piss in the middle of the ring. And I was just like, man, you needed to lose because Gunther can't take that loss unless it's by crook. But man, I mean, why don't they piss in your mouth while you're on the floor? Go ahead with your synopsis.
Jesus. So I really don't know. I think they done it very well. Like you pointed out, Gunther did show color from where the altercation with Finn Balor on Monday, and then them brawling Damian and him both after the fact. There was a lot of chaos that happened in the match. There was about, and I'm just snowballing a number here, probably about 30 chops that Gunther gave to Damian Priest while Finn Balor was trying to rejuvenate him to defend this title. And I can understand the aspect of Finn showing up because he's there to support. At least that's what we all thought. Throughout the match, there were good spots. Damian Priest showed that he is still a fighter. But yet again, the aspect of that South of Heavens and then Gunther being, I think, tired at the point where he didn't roll all the way to the outside. So Finn had to more or less jump farther into the ring to get his leg on the bottom rope. I think it was a smart baby or face turn for Damian to look at the Tron to see the replay and see how his foot got on the rope. Very smart there as well. So of course there are those things you can add to it. Overall, the Judgment Day fallout, fantastic. We'd said it needed to happen for months now. Overall, the match was solid. A great match for Gunther. We'll get to see him. Of course, the era of Gunther, the ring general, will have begun. Now the question is, how long does it last? And what's next for the Judgment Day? Overall, I give this one about a 4.
Yep, I agree. I give that one probably about a 4, 4.5. It was a good match overall. That is a good question. Are they just going to form a new Judgment Day, or are they going to do something completely different and maybe leave Rhea and Damian to find new members for the Judgment Day? I think it might be time, honestly, just to dissolve the Judgment Day and go a different route. but that's just my personal opinion. At this point, at the last match, I was wrong. I was 4-1. I picked Gunther to win this match, so I was back to 5-1. And I have a video up on YouTube as well. You can check out. I did a prediction video. If you guys want to go back and watch that, I did talk about this, that I felt like that Rhea and Damian were going to be done in the Judgment Day, because it seemed like every time that they showed up, it was everybody stood up straight. They no slouching, no none of this. Mom and dad's home, time to act right. Pretty much a brief synopsis of what I was saying, and that's exactly how it turned out. One thing I do want to touch on that I did not mention at the beginning of the cast was that the announcers were a lot more verbal than previously. Pat McAfee was getting pretty worked up at Dominic Mysterio, and he got ready to call him something, obviously, and he kind of took a break or whatever. And Michael Cole's like, "Well, just go ahead and say it. Oh, he's a piece of shit." I like that. It threw me back a little bit, because they were getting kind of mouthy. But I did see a report today that they're loosening the reins up on the announcers a little bit. So I liked that. That was I like that. They were let them get a little bit emotionally involved in it again. That was nice to see. Speaking of emotionally involved, time to talk about the main event. Kraken, you already know this one's probably going to go a little long, but go ahead. And what was this? This was Cody Rhodes for the WWE Undisputed Universal Galactic Space Championship, or whatever, right?
Yeah, whatever.
So,
I got called out
this
about
belt's got
that.
yeah,
Supposedly
it's got too many names.
not
It's got too
undisputed
many
no
names.
more. It's just a
Yeah.
championship.
Oh, okay. So now it's not undisputed. I know they were talking about taking the undisputed out of it, or taking Universal out of it, or something. Either way, the WWE Championship's what I call it, because that's what it is. Moving on here to speed up the pace a little bit. I know we're about an hour into this thing now. Solo Sikoa comes to the ring to a hush of murmurs. Came to the ring by himself. Big red flag already. He showed up by himself to, this is Bloodline rules. As of Friday night on SmackDown, it was Bloodline rules. Cody Rhodes not backing down from nothing. That wasn't happening. So it cuts to the back. Cody's on the bus. He looks emotional. I'm going to be honest with you. At this point, I thought he was going to lose. Just outright lose quick. He's walking Pharaoh to the ring. I did a little bit of research, and apparently last night was the last time that Pharaoh will ever be at a premium live event. He is no longer going to be traveling on the road with Cody, just due to age. I think they're going to keep him at home for a little bit, or for the remainder of his time, and let him kind of relax and not have to worry about all that traveling. So glad to see that he got to walk him to the ring, almost, or walk him through the back or whatever, and spend that valuable time with him. I like the fact that they went to the back and worked him to the ring. As he's coming to the ring, we see Double A Arn Anderson. Meets him, greets him, shakes his hand. Hey, I still got some pull around here, even though I've been gone for time. Help is on the way. So you're feeling a little relaxed at this point. Cody goes on a little bit further. He passes the dog off to another gentleman that works for the company in some aspect, of course. I'm sure they took the dog right back to the bus. Another 10 feet over, the lights are hitting, the smoke's hitting, everything's starting to roll. And Cody puts the helmet on that we saw at WrestleMania 40. And at that point, I'd even texted Kraken and said, the armor is on. We're headed into battle. And it was heavy battle, might I add. Cody does his entrance, crowd's going wild. He's shaking everybody's hands, slapping hands, doing the whole gimmick or whatever. Gets in the ring, ring the bell, here we go. We're off to the races. Solo seems to have him covered every step of the way in the beginning. He went for the drop down, reach up, uppercut, or throat slap or whatever. Solo caught his hand. He had Cody covered from every single aspect that he could be covered from. I will tell you now, I felt like, and Kraken, you may or may not agree, but a lot of what Solo Sikoa was doing in the ring was extremely reminiscent of Roman Reigns. He was walking around the ring. He was talking smack when he had the upper hand. He was motioning for the belt. He was talking, letting him know, hey, I'm the man. I'm the tribal chief. I'm the guy around here. Nothing, blah, 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 whatever, right? Running his mouth, doing the whole gimmick. A lot of mannerisms of Roman Reigns and such. The match continues for a while. It goes in the ring, out of the ring, back and forth. We see a couple disaster kicks. Solo had tried to do the Samoan spike at one point. Cody reverses it. It was back and forth for a while. They go outside the ring. Cody starts to take a little bit of a whipping. He starts to get an upper hand. And then, as usual, the telltale sign, whenever anything's to happen, they pan in close to the competitors so you can't see the sides. Now the crowd, of course, is going wild because, look out, Cody, watch out. Cody's got Solo set up for the crossroads, looking to put him away quick. Hopefully here comes Tama Tonga Loa. And he's fighting him off as much as he can. It's 3-on-1. The numbers are starting to get to him. And they're laying it in deep. They hit him with the, I don't know what the name of that move was they hit him with. I can't remember what it's called now, but it's kind of like a DDT, but they rotate through, and the other one holds the legs or whatever.
It looked like a deep crossroads, but I know that's not what it's called.
Yeah, it really looked like a crossroads where his feet was just like held up in the air the whole time and rotated with. As Tonga Loa, of course, had to have a botch. Tried to push Cody Rhodes into the turnbuckle. He pushed him into the ropes, and then he had to slide him over. Tonga Loa's a botch machine. It is what it is. God bless him. He tries. I guess he tries. Anyway, moving on. Next thing you know, we hear it. They hit the music. Here comes Kevin Owens, and he hits the ring like a house of fire. He's raining down lefts, raining down rights. Super kick to Solo Sikoa. I mean, he is wearing them out. The only thing he didn't do that I would have loved to saw is if Kevin Owens would have poked Tonga Loa in the other eye that didn't have an eye patch on it. I thought that would have been hilarious. Numbers start to get to him. Cody's down and out because he's gotten whooped every which way known to mankind. He's kicked out of some two counts, 2.5 counts. He's kicked out of some deep stuff. Speed the pace up a little bit here. Next thing you know, I hear voices. I hear the voice of Randy Orton. He's coming down the ramp. It looks like he kind of gets lost along the way. If he's supposed to go left or right, he figures out where he hits the ring, meets him in the aisleway, house of boom, RKO, and they fight off. Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, Tonga Loa, they fight off the crowd. At that point, I had texted Kraken and said, "Where's Jacob?" And I think he responded with some, he's probably on the way. It became a solo Cody fight again for a little bit, and they continue to go back and forth because, of course, they both had their help there at that point, and we were kind of back at an even standing. Cody starts to get a little bit of momentum going again, and I'll be damned if here didn't show up Jacob Fatu. Absolutely wears Cody like a cheap shoe. I mean, he had him, he was beating him so bad, I was concerned that this might be it. He hits him with the moonsault off the top rope and gets all of it. Absolutely all of it. And at that point, I was like, well, this is it. This is how it goes. Everybody had whispers, murmurs, everything that Roman Reigns was coming back. And I said, nope, we're done right here. This is it. 1, 2 and 15/16, and Cody comes alive. He kicks out with not a millisecond to spare. And Jacob Fatu temporarily looks like he saw a ghost. Solo Sikoa can't believe it. He looks like he saw Michael Myers himself standing in the middle of the ring. Jacob Fatu ain't having that. He's tore up at this point. He gets Cody out of the ring. He clears the announce table off. He plaques him on the thing. And he goes up top, Samoan dive, Uso splash, whatever you want to call it, off the top rope, through the table. And that's where we had an issue. Jacob hops right back up, screaming at the top of his lungs. He's hurt himself. And when that happened, I said, oh, that didn't look good. He tried to take a couple steps, and he collapsed. And he's beating the barricade. And he's freaking out a little bit. and you can tell because he knows he's hurt. He couldn't walk. He couldn't put weight on his foot or his leg or his knee. Some extension of his appendage he couldn't put weight on. Solo gets him back in the ring, and I'm thinking, well, that's it. We're done. Next thing you know, they're both sprawled out in the middle of the floor. It gets eerily quiet in the arena. Everybody was waiting for the next high spot to hit. And then the music hits. The lights turn blue on the signs, the barricades, and we knew Daddy's home. The original tribal chief slowly makes his way down the long ass trail to the ring. He gets about 3/4 of the way down through there, and he picks up a little bit of pace. I want to give Roman Reigns a shout out right here. Hey, thanks for when you got to the top of the ramp. You stood there for a second in front of your graphics because that helped all of us content creators and streamers and such take some really cool snapshots of you standing there looking like a badass with your brand new t-shirt. Appreciate that. I walked real slow like it was an action movie. We got a couple more good shots of you walking like a badass. And then when you got to the almost 3/4 of the way through the ramp, you start to pick up a little bit of pace about yourself and say, let me get in the ring and straighten this nonsense out. And he hit the ring like a house of fire. He locked one, cocked one, boom! Superman punch, and you saw Solo Sikoa's soul go to the top of the building, end on the barricades up there, looking over the city of Cleveland, and shoot right back into his body within a matter of milliseconds. And Roman Reigns is cooking at this point. He's feeling it. The crowd's screaming. If they would have had a roof on that place, they'd have blew it off and it would have hit the moon and came back down. The crowd was loving it. They were eating it up. And Roman Reigns gets in the turnbuckle and he's doing the stomp and he hits him with the oh, and all the crowd's oohing with him and eyeing and all that nonsense he does, the Samoan stuff. Good for that, whatever that is, their Samoan heritage thing or whatever. The crowd was eating it up, loved it, looked great. He hits him with a spear. He hit him so hard he almost broke his own legs. His legs fly up in the air. It looked like he was probably, I don't know, 5 feet off the ground when he hits this dude. I got an absolutely awesome action scene clip from it. Absolutely fantastic. He hits him. Cody Rhodes looks like he has seen a ghost. And Solo Sikoa, he was done at that point. You could have counted to 9,000. It wasn't happening. They do a stare off for a second. Roman Reigns looks back at Cody, who's leaned up against the stairs, grasping on to what life is left in his body. He nods his head like the last outlaw and slides out of the ring and heads back up the ramp. Cody stares at him for a little bit. He picks Solo up off the floor. Crossroads, staring at Roman the entire time he hit the crossroads. He hooks the leg. He's still staring at him. 1, 2, 3, and still worked out perfect. They keep the camera bouncing back and forth between Roman and Cody. Couldn't have been a better moment. I enjoyed it. The match was good, an emotional ride. They had suspense. They had anxiousness. They had emotion at the beginning with the dog. Everything came together as normal with typically does. It plays out perfect. I'm going to give that a 4.8 out of 5. I don't know what it was missing a little something. And I think the only thing that it was really missing was I was expecting someone else to show up for the bloodline, the current bloodline regime that we have going on. That didn't happen. I don't know if it was because of the injury spot or what, but overall, great match, great ending. The original tribal chief is back, the OTC. We saw it on his shirt. I'm assuming that's what it's going to stand for. That seems to be the rumor. What do you think about it, Kraken?
I mean, the match overall was spot on. The only thing different about this Bloodline Rules match was who we had show up. I mean, if you want to talk about it in depth, the pop that we seen for the first Bloodline Rules match for Cena and The Undertaker, of course, it fit that moment. But I think with Roman coming back, because everything else in the match that you hit on perfectly. Tonga Loa, he missed his turnbuckle spot. Solo Sikoa absolutely had counter for everything that Cody threw at him. He had no way of truly getting momentum, it seemed like, to begin with. Bloodline's rule aspect kicked in. We knew it was going to happen. We've seen the match style before. Tonga Loa, they did their thing. Like I said, they hit what looked like a deep crossroads. That was perfect. KO came out, hit one hell of a swanton. Randy comes out, hits a wonderful RKO, and then dodges out of the way, of which I cannot remember who it was, and he hit, a stunner on him. Then they all brawl out to the outside. Perfect. That continues them four in a feud, which I could see being pushed for possibly a tag team title opportunity with Randy and Kevin. Only reason I say that is because Randy lost the tag titles due to the original Bloodline, and the new Bloodline have it. Let's strip them of all the gold. That could be the possibility we'll look at down the road there. Jacob Fatu is Jacob Fatu. He's called the werewolf for a reason. It's absolutely chaotic, wide open. You never know what you're going to see, and every time he's in the ring, it's what fucking chaos is going to happen next. What move is he going to hit that's going to be the shock factor that we didn't know this man could hit? The jump to the outside to the table, extremely risky. We've seen him do it when he debuted, but I think the issue here with this one, the table was rebuilt because it did get broke. I don't know if they positioned it back right when they rebuilt it, if that's why it was off just a little bit, because if you watch it back, he was like an inch off on making that jump clean. I don't know if that was the difference, if that pattern was what was the difference that was on the turnbuckle, because he also removed it, exposing the metal tightener for the turnbuckle. I don't know. But when we come down to the biggest pop that I've heard in a long time for Roman Reigns, like you said, him standing there taking it all in and making us eat our words that when he left, he was going to be missed. And when he showed back up, it was going to be a total shock, basically. And it was. The invisible ceiling blew off the Cleveland Browns Stadium last night. I think we heard the biggest ooh ah we've ever heard in our life. I know that's what he says when he does the spear. It was spot on, 100%. The only thing I think it was missing was I think there might have been a little bit more there at the end, but with Jacob's leg and the severity we don't know of, that's the question mark. Other than that, my opinion, that was the 5-star match. Everything played out perfectly except for the one little botch, which we could possibly overlook in the aspect of reviewing that style match and what it meant. But either way, I think that was the 5-star match it needed to be. We reintroduced Double A into the picture of the WWE. I think that's the first time we have seen him. I think Cody even talked about it. He can't wait to hopefully do more stuff at him when he isn't trying to shoot him. And of course, he did the air quotes. You know what that means. Well, as any other wrestling fan. So I do believe it's a 5-star overall for that match.
I'm not upset about you giving it a 5-star. Like I said, I'm rarely going to give, and it's fine that you did or whatever. It was a good match. It was definitely worthy, easily, of a 5-star, but I felt like it was just missing a little bit of something, and that's okay. But with that being said, everybody, it is a little bit long this time, but SummerSlam it was a return of Roman Reigns. The matches, maybe they all weren't great, but they were all good. It was single-handedly one of the best premium live events that I've watched in a while, where the card was just full of good matches and big stars. Everybody right now is just kind of competing to be on the PLE. But with that being said, That's all for this episode. We will be doing another recording on Tuesday afternoon. We are going to be covering Monday Night Raw for tomorrow night. I'm super hyped for that. We get to see the in-ring debut in an actual match of the Wyatt Six against the new Team Angle. We're going to call them Team Gable. That's what they're going to be referred to on this podcast as Team Gable. But other than that, I hope everybody enjoyed this. If you did, give it a like, a share, drop a comment. Let us know what you think, what we could do better, what we could do different, and what you guys might like. And Kraken, go ahead and say your piece, man.
Can't wait to see the ring debut of the Wyatt Six. There's so much to look forward to with them. Can't wait to break down that on Tuesday. For me, like I said, SummerSlam, it felt like a true, once again, one of the big four pillars that we have for PLE now. Last year's did not feel as hype or even like a SummerSlam. This year felt almost like a daggone WrestleMania. So it was fantastic all around.
All right. Well, as always, everybody knows every time I log off anywhere, I say it. Stay safe, stay blessed, and I'm out.
You see someone in public, of course, give them a smile. It could change their day, could change their life. Kraken is out.